I'm doing a quick sketch of the house and going to use these dual tip brush pens again, plus a liner at the end. So this time around I'm going to start with a paler colour and probably going to go for that sort of colour, though it is a lilac-y colour. There is background noise here because I'm opposite the road, so I'll have to excuse that. Let's just go for this one. Try and get some basic shapes in with that. This is interesting, painting outside with a camera in front of me and a baby blackbird. Try and get some lines in. It's just fun to try and do building occasionally, because if you've never done it, you don't know until you try. I'd highly recommend you have a try. Paint your own house or your balcony view or a view you can see. Just pop along to a local landmark and try and paint it. See how you get on. As I said before, I am not an architect, so these angles will not be right, but I'm not trying to be accurate, I'm just having a go at a sketch. So we've got a little clock hidden in here. Pop him in. We've got, it's quite interesting when you start looking at the angles as to how much is actually going on. Hopefully you can see this because it's so bright out here I can't see the screen. And going down the edge of the wall there. And we've got trying to line things up with other things, which is always a challenge. You possibly might hear our baby blackbird in the background. It's their third brood. And we have been looking after them because, to be honest, it's been so dry in the UK this summer that our wildlife is struggling, so we do try and help where we can. Got a side window you can just see here. And the door. So as you can see, I'm putting in the basic shapes. It's now getting windy, so I might end up with a camera and an easel on my head. There we go. The door is that sort of shape. It's going slightly up. This is where you need your perspective to be sort of okay, but I'm no expert, so if you're not, don't worry. Just put your lines on, have some fun. Just like the baby blackbirds do, singing away happily. It's got a little plant here. Plants and foliage are great because you can hide things behind them. If you've got a plant pot, put that in before you do the door. Save yourself some hassle. There you go, all the way down to there. That's better. Happy with that. Oh, guess what? I've got another plant pot on this side. Yes. Also got a step, so I just need to put that in. Going a little bit off-piste here now because this is a painting and you can use your artistic license if you wish to paint things how you want them to be, not how you see them. This is why if you can get outside you will learn so much more about painting things, because you will see them completely differently than taking a photo. It's no comparison. I urge you to give it a try. Right, getting to the edge here. This is all foliage, lucky me. I've got a little bed here. Comes something big up the road. Oh, it's Tom on his tractor on the other side, turning his hay. Harvest is in full swing in Norfolk. Oop, that's a funny roof. There we go. Then this one comes along, slightly going uphill. Suggest some things going on there. And then we've got a gutter, just suggesting. Okay. So I've done along there. Now this side needs to go slightly out from here. It's lower than there. Somewhere about there. So I'm still sketching in the original brush pen, and this sort of pen doesn't have the pigment on it or anything like that. You have to work out roughly what colour is. I would say this is a raw sienna style of colour. It's that sort of thing. There's the underneath there, which sort of goes along with the underneath of that. And down here we've got a gutter that then goes across here and down the side of the house. And guess what? Got more plants. And we have a window which has probably gone too far. Stop there. Try and get the lines in the same angle as the door. There we go, and there's a tree in here which is my house plant having a summer's rest. Okay, we've got a hedge in the background, which is over which is Tom's field, and some trees in the distance. So that's my first layer on. Okay, got some sunshine here now, so it might be a little bit different to see. I'm just going to come back out slightly so I don't lose you by moving my book. So I've got two grey pens, one darker than the other, and I'm just going to go in and suggest some of the shadow areas under the eaves. Got under here. Oh, I've just noticed I've forgotten the whole window. It's amazing what you miss. This is why it's so helpful to be actually in situ looking at what you're trying to do and then spotting when you haven't done it. This window is open, so let's be brave and try and get that angle. Okay. Bar in the middle is pretty much straight. The one next to it is right up against here. So that angle isn't quite right, but it does not matter. We're not worrying about that. But what we could do at this point, because this is now inside in here, is get my dark pen, and there is also a blind in there, so going under the blind will make all of this dark, but it is inside the building, therefore you wouldn't see much. Oops, forgot my blind up the top, never mind. It's a blind with half and half. Right, okay. What else have we got? We've got dark window here, so I'm using the dark grey. It's like a competition out here, birds singing, cars racing by, tractors turning hay. You didn't think you were going to watch an art video and have to have all these distractions. But this is exactly what it will be like if you paint outside yourself, because you will have distractions. And it's about how you manage that and still enjoy yourself. So in the middle there is, it was also dark, but I shall probably let's just go in with a brush now, just like that. And there we go. So I've got a little bit of colour here. So I've got this on my, doing my brushwork and my wash on top now. So let's just go with that for a minute. Brush on. A little bit of water. Definitely don't need much water to do this. It very, very quickly becomes too much if you're not careful. I can take that down back there, and it may well need some more later. So underneath the eaves is quite dark as well. So we'll put a nice, look at these lovely brushes that you can do a stroke like that and do all your shadows in one go. And that is really nice. So easy. Again, if you want to soften them, you can. I've got a gap between that one and that one, so just soften that away and under there as well. And even though this window isn't as dark, it's still in shadow there, so just drag it across. There you go. This wall is in shadow. It's not as much as the other one, so I've gone back to my pale grey. But it is a wall of bricks, so let's see if we can layer that up. Got a grey on first. I'm now going to dig out a soft pink. So let's pop that on, but this time we'll go sideways to suggest bricks. Like so. And then I'm going to use the brush sideways to keep that movement. So we've now got a shadowy side to that wall, which is quite nice. Taking that forward, let's add the bricks to the wall. Completely different pink, isn't it, when it's not got the grey underneath it? Look at that, it's quite bright. And we need to have that over here as well, although it does appear to be too bright to me. So we can wash that away, that's fine. So before I wash it away, I'll add some more of that lovely raw sienna type of colour over the top. Oh, that's a yellow. Raw sienna, here we go. Over the top of these bricks. Starts to mute them down a little bit. Our bricks are quite pinky, so I'm just enhancing that really. There we go, let's wash that in. It's quite fun. Again, it's a bit like watercolor pencils. You end up with all these choices of colours, which is sometimes a bit overwhelming, but then you can have the fun of not particularly having to mix anything. You can just plop it on. So that worked quite well. Let's do above the door. I'm trying to follow the patterns and of course the lines of perspective up to a point. We're not going into that realm. We're not going to be worried too much about that. Sorry, all you technical drawers. Sometimes paintings sell, there's certainly somebody locally who sells paintings because the buildings are wonky and not in spite of it, so don't ever worry. It just gives your paintings a unique style if you let them go and do their own thing. Lovely colour combination when it's damp. So here we go, let's wash that in. Leave the clocks, that's going to be slightly different. Pulling that all in there. Loving that combo. Yep, even looks a bit like our house. Okay, so this can all be flowers, etc. Go back to the other one I picked up and see if that can go on the front here. It's yellow, that's fine. Let's just add the raw sienna to it as a combo. You can see I'm popping the raw sienna through most of this painting, so nothing is isolated in colour on its own. With that in mind, let's pick some of that colour up and transfer it over to these two. So you can move the pigment around. We've got a shadow under here that I've missed. Let's pop that in. And down here. Beginning to take shape now, isn't it? So this front part here is actually in shade, as are these, but we're not going to do those in grey. We're going to work up a little bit in colour. This time, let's just see if I can pick up the pigment off of the actual end of the brush. That's another way of trying it. Not particularly, nope. That was a good experiment. So I just need to go and get my plastic palette for this bit. And I'm just trying a darker lilac because the first one didn't really take. Picking it up on my brush and then trying to use that along the shadow areas, which is working a little bit better. Just to acknowledge that this side of the house is actually in shadow. Picking up a little bit more of that pigment down the side there. We can add to this later. And let's add that same colour to the blind inside. Okay, that worked quite well. So I'm going to add a dark purple colour just underneath where these tiles come down. Let's just link them together a bit more. There's a couple on that side. And then some smaller ones over here, which I won't worry about the exact details of. Then taking the paler lilac up the roof. Oh, that really is pale. I think this one has probably had it, to be honest. Yeah, not much pigment coming out of that at all. Just enough to get the lines in on the roof, thereabouts, so I know where I'm going. Maybe it just doesn't like the hot weather. I don't blame it. So we've got an edge here, we've got tiles coming off here and tiles coming off here. Ridge tiles that bend over there. Okay, it's nearly there. Let's go a little bit darker around underneath here. Switch to the pen end and just put in those tiles. Just suggest a few. Like so. It's all a little bit too purple for me at the moment, so I'm now going to add a different colour. And we've got a brown of some description here. So let's see what that looks like. combine those lines with what we've got going on. And some of those over here, very loosely. Like so. We've got some darker edges up here, where that roof goes off there, and down here. Of course, we've got some dark areas here, so let me revert back to my brush side of it. Trying to get in some of the plant that's over this side without overdoing it, because I don't want to ruin what I've started. Simply just a rough sketch. Okay, now that's all very harsh, isn't it? So let's get our water on there, see what we can do with it. Shifting it around, use your brush. Could use one of those water pens for this, would be really nice. Just take it out with you. You don't need to have a water pot and a proper brush, you can just have a water pen. So that's blending that together quite nicely. It's a little bit too strong up there. That's fine. Let's put a bit more water on, see if we can merge it a bit. Okay, that colour is very strong, so we need it somewhere else. So let's have it in the side of the pots down here. And we can blend it across. There we go. Have some of that colour, pop it in over here. And over here, just pale. Do you know what? I'm going to have it in this bed as well. And that one. This is going to be a pot over here. So I need a different, like a orangey reddy colour for this pot here. See how bright this one is. Make sure you can still see what I'm doing. Yep, it's a nice terracotta orange, isn't it? Let's just dull it down a bit with this red and then blend that. Oh, lovely, look at that. Pop some of that in over here as well. Right, I think we're ready for a little bit of a path. I'm going to go with the pale lilac again, I think. Something like that. That's quite nice. Pull that right out, pop that round some of the door, because we know that that's in shadow. Okay, next colours. We've got a sort of that orangey, oh no, crimsony red, that would do. That can be the clock, so it doesn't look quite as bright as it did. Now I need some pink roses. Oh, look at them. Love it. There we go. So now I can go wild with some greens. Got greens for fun here. I would never normally use so many colours, but I'm having some fun. So this one can be in the background. That's going to need some blue or grey over it. because that's way too bright. Can use it to go around the back of that. Can add some into this plant here, maybe on here, definitely into the roses. It's a Viridian green, this one, isn't it? And let's see what the next one does. Oh, even brighter. Let's pop that in over here. Whoa, that's bright. Then we got what looks like a yellow goldy green, which is quite nice actually. Put some of that in with the roses, that looks good. And we just need a very gentle background there. But it's too vibrant, isn't it? Way too vibrant. So, get our green, no we won't, we'll get our blue and we'll tone it down, make it blue-green in the background. A little bit of that in the foreground. Some shadows, like so. Then we're going to go back to that lovely browny colour, I think, to dull it down even further. There we go, that should help. Some darks in there. Can help define around the rose bush and around the pot. There. Okay, back in with the brush. Oops. Back in with the brush. Let that go wild. And some of that dirty colour there can just come off into the foreground there. Which just leaves me a sky. Let's see what we can do with the sky. Whoa, look how bright that is. Let's try it. Yeah, that one travels a long way. That's quite nice to mush out. Take it with you all the way across your picture. This is as vibrant as I'm ever going to get. That's our resident magpie, who we have to keep an eye on because of our babies. Just dotting some blues around the place to make sure that they are repeated throughout the painting, not just in a couple of places. Got some blooms going on there. Right, that bit there appears to need to have some darker colour because it's the roof, but not quite like that. That's better. Take that off. You can immediately see when you've done something wrong. This just doesn't work. Take that colour off over here where it's darker. There we go. It's better. Okay, I'm going to let that dry completely and then add a little bit more shade. This is all dry now, and just looking at the house thinking I need some deeper shadows in certain places. This is brighter than this. So I'm going to go back in with my grey and add a layer of greys into this area. This is the point where you start thinking I might just overdo this, but it is a lot darker in there, so let's just go for it. Deepen that a little bit more. Also, you can see that this wall is not separated from that wall, so you need to help that differentiation, add in just some marks in there as well. can have a line under there, under the gutter. Start building up your tones, your values. For me, the roof is a bit bright, so I'm just going to add some greys, because that could just bring it down a little bit. Great way of shading, isn't it? You can just literally shading on in the sweep of your brush pen. What a great way to paint. So we've got that. Let's give that a little gentle nudge with the brush. We don't want too much detail. Just leave some of the lines. Again, under here is not perfectly light. There is a shadow through there. Let's pop that on. You're just building it up as you go till you think it's the right strength. When you look at it, does it look right? This area, if you remember, was grey and pink, so it's a slightly different colour there, which is a really good point. Do we want to add that raw sienna into that? Yes, we do. Just to link those colours together, that's better. Yep. This window is bright white, so is the other one, so let's get the lilac over that. It's better. Don't want anything to be too bright. Okay, and then we've got a little bit of shadows and things going on here. Got some really nice blotchy wet patches here, which have made a really nice shape there, as if they're foliage. They've just run back. The door here is still fairly white, so I'm going to just pop in some of that pale lilac just a little bit here and there to link that together. Okay. Okay. Going back to my pots on the front. Might just use my pen with the bright pink to just suggest a little bit of detail of the roses. Like that. Apologies if my hat was just in the picture. A little bit of pink in other places, just to pull that across. Obviously this picture's got way too much in the way of different colours going on, but that's absolutely fine. At some point I must have removed my black from here to use elsewhere, so I'm just picking up that dark brown again, just reinstating this door after these colour runs here. A couple of little lights here that have disappeared a wee bit. Pop them in. It's because these pens also work so well as a drawing pen. You've got so many options to continue your picture as you wish, adding lines, details or not. Suggestion of bricks here and there. If they don't work, you can always take them off again or wash them out a bit. There's the clock. So that middle of that door could be a lot darker than it is. So let's try with that purple, fill that in. Same with down that side there, that's the window, that's the window. And then run over it with the brown if it's just a bit too much. There we go. Okay, that is all I'm going to do on the pen, brush pens. It's a wonky picture of our house. It's pretty much dry again, so quick to dry. So out comes my Derwent line maker. Now quick check on my picture up there, just to check my lines, and then picture. Quick check on the house, just to check my lines. But you know what? You start now just going for it. There is a line through there. I used to be able to do tiles, can't do them anymore. Clearly. So this bit is all about adding detail where you want, as much or as little as you want, and emphasising the edge of some things, like the tiles for instance here. It's a nice edge down there. Not so worried about up here, it's just softer lines up here. Again, we've got the tiles edges here. where the areas are unimportant and just adding a little. Just keep your lines light. Where you want to emphasize things, you can go a little bit heavier with your lines. Just emphasize, like this corner here is leading your eye into the door. But it's personal preference. You don't even need to add this pen at all if you don't want to. Terracotta pot worked quite well. You're pretty much there now. So I'm just using these back runs to create some foliage here, which may or may not be exactly as the house. This window's further away, so I'm using lighter marks best I can, just to suggest it rather than heavy marks, whereas this one is a lot nearer. Got that blind inside which we're trying to suggest is there. Not easy. That's the window edge, and then that's the closed window. Would I ever get a ruler to do this? Nope, never. Art is all about just being loose, capturing a moment. Spending hours with a ruler and measuring angles is definitely not for me, but it might be what you want to do. There we go. So that window is sort of looking like it's open. There is a line down here, as in between the two walls, just to slightly emphasise it. But don't go too mad here, because you don't want to be too obvious with these marks. You can put a few bricks in. Bricks are one of those things you suggest. It's not a good idea to do the whole lot. I think we are pretty much there. There we go. That's Hillcrest in Galveston, in the heart of Norfolk, UK. I hope you enjoyed my little sketch. Why not try sketching your own home or somewhere close to it? See how you get on. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments below, and I look forward to hearing how you got on. Good luck. If you haven't got any brush pens, just use your watercolors.